Andrea, under your leadership of the affordable housing investment business at Pretium, how has this research on the geography of opportunity informed your affordable housing investments?
So when Professor Chetty's research first came out, I was helping build a bank's community development investing and lending business. And our affordable housing investments were largely targeted to revitalizing low and moderate income communities. And so his research sparked a lot of questions about whether or not we could be investing in mixed income housing, how we could be revitalizing those low and moderate income communities, bringing other elements of a thriving communities there, and what were the opportunities to be able to invest in affordable housing in areas that were already higher opportunity. And one of the salient discoveries to Pretium's business was that we found that single family rentals were really white space as it related to affordable housing. And it was an opportunity to be able to invest in affordable housing in higher opportunity areas. As it relates to Pretium's investment strategy, we have a social opportunity framework whereby we look at neighborhood characteristics. We look at the crime, we look at the poverty rate, we look at the quality of the schools there and the relative income to really measure what is the upward mobility potential of those neighborhoods. We also look at other social factors such as access to job and environmental risks to really make sure that we are investing where renting families want to live and can create opportunities for long-term stability in those markets. And we'll talk a little bit more about affordability in a bit.
One brief follow-up for folks' background here. How many houses does Pretium currently own and manage that have HCV voucher residents?
And that really touches on our affordable housing. And I guess I'll talk about how we're providing affordable housing broadly. There are two main ways that we think about it. We are investing in rental housing broadly. And as we talked about extensively today, there's great demand for that housing. Don kicked off the day and talked about the fact that millennials and younger generations are driving demand for, they're hitting the peak ages in which they're forming households and moving into this housing, and at the same time, the older demographic is staying in place. The other thing that's true is that housing is approaching 40 years in age in terms of the average age of a home and is in critical need of rehabilitation CapEx. And so our broad platform enables us to be able to efficiently modernize and maintain those homes. And the two types of affordability, one you touched on, which is classic affordable housing. We have more than doubled our homes that are serving housing choice voucher residents. And we're about to announce soon that we surpassed 3,000 homes and close to $1 billion of real estate supporting the program. And then I'll talk later about the other ways in which we're supporting affordable housing broadly through the creation of workforce housing.
Thank you. It's a significant portfolio of HCV homes already. Raj, turning to you, what originally prompted you to embark on this research?
So I think I came at it not from a residential investment perspective or a neighborhoods perspective even, but I was interested in these issues of economic mobility, partly from personal experience, growing up in India till I was 9 years old, and then seeing the tremendous contrast and opportunities here in the United States and different parts of the US where I grew up, and motivated by that experience as well as an interest in statistics and data and how you could use those tools to make a difference in this world. These questions of what is driving the American dream, how can you give more people the opportunity to rise up, how can we harness the talent pool that we have out there more effectively, led me to study these questions. And that then led me, just through scientific analysis, to recognize that neighborhood is a very important unit of change, which then makes you think about issues of housing, affordable housing, who you're connected to, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Recently, there's been some criticism of your findings that neighborhoods shape children's life outcomes. How do you address those critics?
Yeah. So as in any good scientific endeavor, studies should be examined and re-examined. There have been dozens of replications of the kind of analysis that I've just shown you here. I think Matt may be referring to a recent op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that our team responded to, the consensus kind of response among many experts that frames the debate, actually, I think in an interesting way, is whether zip code is destiny. And in my view, that's not the right way to look at it. We're not saying here that your destiny is determined by your zip code, that it's the only thing that matters. Of course, lots of other things matter too, like your family and your education and other things. And so by no means, I want to emphasize that, are we claiming that neighborhoods are the only thing that matter. But I would insist, Matt, that neighborhoods are an important factor that do matter. That criticism focused on certain technical issues. When I showed you that analysis of families moving with kids at younger versus older ages, could it be that the families who are moving at younger ages to better neighborhoods are wealthier or more educated, and maybe that's why their kids are doing better? So we have done a number of analyses to investigate those what are called selection biases. So to give you one very simple example, we look at families that are moving with 2 kids. You and I both have 2 kids. We think about this sort of comparison of siblings. So suppose you moved with your older kid and younger kid to a better neighborhood. What is striking in the data is that we see your younger kid does better than your older kid because they are exposed for more years to that higher opportunity neighborhood. That totally takes off the table any family level differences because you're both in the same family.
That's right.
So those kinds of analyses really convince us, plus other experimental approaches and so on. For those who are interested, you can see our responses. They make me quite confident that neighborhoods matter. They're not destiny, but they are one factor that we can have an influence on through the type of work you all are doing.
It's fascinating. Andrea, how is Pretium working to address affordable issues in higher opportunity neighborhoods?
So there's 2 main ways in which our rental housing shows up to address affordability. The first is that our single-family rental homes are workforce housing. They have rents that are affordable to middle-income families that are earning up to 120% of area median income. The reality is for many renters today, homeownership is out of reach. It is not feasible because of their current credit score or because of their finances. And in many of the places that we operate, it is today $1,000 or 40% more expensive to newly own a home as opposed to rent a home. And so our rental homes are providing the opportunity to more affordably live in these amenity-rich single-family neighborhoods. And then the second way in which we're doing it is really through traditional affordable housing, by housing or giving the opportunity to housing choice voucher families to be able to live in these rental homes. One thing to note is, we're not restricting access of families, but in order to qualify for a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom housing choice voucher, you have to have a significant number of kids in the family. And the other thing that you visually showed is where our housing tends to be. Freddie Mac had looked at where subsidized affordable housing is located across the US, and only 7% of it is located in what would be considered high opportunity areas. And so a lot of investors think of affordable housing and they think, this is gonna be lower quality homes in more challenging neighborhoods. But by contrast, more than 2/3 of our rental homes where we have housing choice voucher residents are in higher opportunity neighborhoods. And so we're talking about quality homes in quality neighborhoods. And it has the opportunity to offer investors stable cash flows and also our residents both housing stability and opportunity.
Raj, maybe one last question. To provide context for the audience, how big is the opportunity in the US?
How big is the opportunity
for HCV vouchers across the US in your mind?
Yeah, I think there's an enormous scope, right? And so this was highlighted by some of the statistics that I mentioned, and even the scale that you're starting to achieve with $1 billion of housing with housing choice voucher residents. But that's just, in a sense, scratching the surface of the possibilities here. So you saw lots of families, right? There are 2.5 million families at the moment receiving housing vouchers, that's actually only about 25% of the families who would qualify if the program was fully funded. So there are millions of families out there who, the way our programs are defined, should be eligible for these opportunities. And we see that, when those families move to higher opportunity areas, there's tremendous scope for their kids' lives to improve along the lines of the example I gave you, kids' earnings improving by $200,000 over their lifetime. Imagine multiplying that, Matt, by all of those millions of families. If you could unlock that potential, that would not only generate significant returns for investors, but I think would truly transform our economy and transform our society in the long run. So I think there is tremendous potential here.
Sounds great. It seems like there's a lot of potential for HCV to transform the lives of Americans today and into the future. We appreciate it. Raj, thank you for joining us, sharing your insights today. At Pretium, we're committed to continuing this work. As Andrea mentioned, we already have a scaled portfolio of approximately 3,000 houses that have HCV residents. So this is a real business that exists at Pretium today. And we expect to continue to grow this in the future and look forward to deepening these conversations and exploring new partnerships to advance the opportunity through housing. Thank you.